Besides, my 23-year wife Doris recently inquired, "Are you going to the home office this month?" It seems rather easy. I've traveled there more than 100 months in a row, according to a quick count. I oversee a sizable supermarket business as the store manager. My store is one of the most successful in the area and is a part of a national chain. Every month on the second Thursday, I go to a meeting. I board the airplane at 7 a.m. and get back on the 10 p.m. flight. Despite the long day, there are a lot of meetings and presentations today. We have a team-building supper to round off the day. When I come home on Friday morning, it's generally around 1 in the morning. I hire more teenagers than adults at my job. They have a reputation for posing queries that are unrelated to the ones they actually want to ask. A few minutes later, I hear something along the lines of, "Are we getting fresh produce in this city? And can I have set it off?" It may be off topic, but it's been at least 5 years since Doris inquired about my attendance at that meeting. I'm going, she knows. Asking is not necessary. Why then did she require assurance this particular time? I believe this is referred to as a tell in poker. I mentally noted it. I was paying the bills later that night. In actuality, I manage almost every facet of our financial situation. 2 charges from the luxury store Angie's Elegant Rags appear on the most recent credit card statement for Doris's personal account. Nothing strange, except in the fact that she's already attacked them for their absurd rates. I discovered years ago that Doris used to store birthday or Christmas presents beneath the extra blankets in the linen closet in the hall. When I looked for Doris's hiding place the next morning while she was taking a shower, I couldn't find anything. That further indicated to me that the purchase was not made with me in mind, but I suppose you can't always get lucky. I searched her closet, but I couldn't find anything. That purchase had largely slipped my mind until Friday evening after work. Doris's automobile tire needed to be inflated, therefore it was one of my honey-do lists. I discovered 2 sacks from Angie's Elegant Rags in her trunk when I went to seek for the air compressor. There was a blue high-heel shoebox in one of the sacks. There was a delicate blue cocktail dress in the other. The sneakers' bottoms have scratches on them. They had witnessed activity. It doesn't take a creative mind to conclude that the dress was no longer in perfect condition if the shoes had been used. Was there a party I missed somewhere? That was nonsensical. Why is the dress hidden? A party that surprises everyone. For what purpose? A few months ago was our 46th birthday. A month earlier was our wedding anniversary. My employer would not be honoring me for any reason. I was unable to think of a good excuse for hiding the shoes and outfit. Perhaps the shoes and clothing weren't really hidden at all. It might have been a mistake to leave them in the trunk. The worn-in condition of the shoes ruled out all my conjecture. I jotted down another mental note. After I finished mowing the lawn on Saturday afternoon, I leaped up the stairs, undressed, and turned on the shower. Shampoo was something I'd bought earlier in the day. It was on the steps, in a shopping bag. To be sure I wouldn't forget it, I had put the shampoo on the first step. That was a successful outcome. I covered myself with a towel and descended the stairs once more. Doris's cell phone rang, and I heard it. I said nothing while Doris answered her cell phone. I took the bag with the shampoo in it and headed upstairs. "Hey sis, what's up? Let's discuss that when Buck isn't around. He's showering upstairs." "That will work. I also love you." "Oh well, bye." Mindy, Doris's sister, is 2 years younger than Doris, and we don't always get along. We had a good relationship, but ever since her divorce, she believes that all guys are bad. Doris is aware of the fact that I find her to be unbearable to be around. She doesn't snipe at me, she just has such a bad attitude toward males. One thing that makes Mindy a little odd is that you never know what color her hair will be when you see her again. Some of those bolder colors are just too hard for me to comprehend. Perhaps you're in the mall and you see someone eating a snow cone, thinking, "I bet I'd look good like that." I thought about the exchange as I showered. I had never considered eavesdropping on Doris. Given the tone of the recent occurrences and the 2 weird ones that occurred, the odds seemed to favor espionage. The present is the ideal moment to take on the challenge. I have some errands to run before I go. Are you in need of anything? Can't think of a thing. I went to the library first. I looked for a voice-activated recorder on the internet using their laptops. I located a store that carried it after finding one that seemed decent. I made that purchase and then went to my grocery store to get some fruit and snacks. If I'm running errands, I better bring something when I get back. It seems like Doris is in the kitchen a lot. Behind the kitchen table, in the corner, is her workstation for the computer. She can watch the television in the front room that is mounted on the wall by twisting her chair. I fastened the recording apparatus to the room's side fan. I used the need to clean the fan as a cover. Buck is my name. Doris and I have been together for 25 years, if you include the time we spent courting. Our shared interest in exercise petered out a long time ago. While Doris was still in good form, she could easily shed 30 pounds, and I could easily lose 50. I'm not conceited, so I'm not at all bothered by my excess weight. Doris bemoans her excess weight and embarks on a diet. However, after a few weeks the diet is abandoned. My motorcycle and yard work keep me active. Many weekends are spent with the neighbors. In addition to watching a lot of reality TV, Doris reads novels. TV charades are something I've never been able to get into. Doris is employed by the hospital as a receptionist. We are proud grandparents to 6-week-old Jared, our only kid, Jason, wed Kelly a year ago. In order to save them money on daycare, Doris intends to babysit when Kelly goes to work in a few weeks. Doris intends to work less hours at the hospital. She retains her earnings in her slush fund. Doris and I were the typical youngsters when we got married. Either in the morning, in the evening, or both, we had slept. That continued for a few months until Doris found out she was expecting a child. The bonding didn't improve until a few months after Jason was born, which is probably common. It never bounced back. For the next 20 years, they spent a few times a week bonding. Doris has essentially lied flat and urged me to hurry throughout the past few years, maybe once a week at most. I attempted to bring up the topic. Doris, do you think we should seek a marriage counselor or someone similar to see if they can help put some energy back into our love life? I believe you are exaggerating. Don't you still receive it once a week at the latest? I am, but at this stage it seems to be rather mechanical. All I'm attempting to do is see if we can rekindle the romance. Some psychiatrist smirking at us is not what we need. The status quo is great with us. I'm heading shopping. She used to sit and watch her recorded television shows, but now we go to swap meetings or the zoo. I pass the time by riding my motorcycle. Doris used to accompany, but that too has been a few years ago. Nothing much, just us living together. I had hoped that things would change when Jared arrived. Given how much time Doris spends at Jason's house, I suppose they have. I went to see a divorce attorney around a year ago, having just been together for a few years at that point. She presented the information. Doris would require a substantial amount of maintenance from me. Upkeep, similar to how you maintain your car's functionality. Even though I had the lawyer draft the paperwork, I ultimately came to the conclusion that perhaps I was exaggerating. To be honest, I didn't want to harm Doris. I only wanted my life to return. A life with a person who delighted in our time together. I filed the divorce documents on my work desk. It's growing difficult to live with someone who acts as though she wishes she was somewhere else, but I haven't brought it up to Doris. I believe it all began when Jason went off to college. Her house was deserted and she appeared lost. Although I don't believe she has cheated on me, I could easily be ignoring the warning signs if they were present. However, I do have entire faith in her. These recent events have obviously made me doubt my unwavering trust. The fact that I've had so many chances to cheat while being totally faithful has been bothering me. Many of the store's hundreds of frequent customers are lonely widows and divorcees. I've been approached, touched, even flashed, but I've overcome it all. I really thought that Doris would never stray and would see in me what I saw in her. The real world is horrible. I came upon this wonderful little tool that converts audio to text. I use this program on my notebook after inserting the memory card from the recorder. After downloading everything, a TXT file is produced. After that, I can quickly go over the results to see if there are any red flags. The only drawback to my recorder placement is that I need a step stool to reach it. I have to wait until Doris goes to bed to sum up what happened during the day. Even though many words have been translated incorrectly, I can still understand the main idea of the talks. On Tuesday, when Doris spoke with Mindy once more, my worries grew. Hey sis, how's things? Cool, no not yet, probably in the next half hour. No, I believe that. This place is extremely boring. Simply put, I'm no longer intrigued by him. Perhaps the next week. Every month, Buck makes his way to the home office. He's leaving this Thursday night. Yes, I collaborate with him. Kathy has been with him and reports that he is doing well there. Yeah, wouldn't that be the crap, going through all that and then finding something the size of your thumb? Most likely only once. Just something to add some flavor to my life. What makes you concerned? Not even the two of you get along. He will never be aware. If I pick up a few tricks, he could even like it. You seem to have a different opinion than mine. I have to leave, I hear the garage door. I also love you, sis. Oh well, bye. My tummy was twisted. The suggestion was breaking me even though I had no idea what it meant. I looked for a private investigator on the internet. I slept on the couch after drinking roughly 6 ounces of scotch. Hey honey, good morning. You slept on the couch, but why? I wasn't feeling well in my stomach. I have to hurry, look at the time, terrible. I have a meeting early today. Even though I had plenty of time and no meetings to attend, I was unable to look someone in the eye. I met with my divorce attorney at lunch after making a few calls in the morning. We talked about my family's financial situation. She advised me to quit or take a leave of absence. Everything else would be equally distributed. I would quit during my visit to the home office. I also received some helpful advice regarding banking and investing from my attorney. I did some of those things all afternoon. Angie's told me they don't sell used shoes when I checked. Like a tire with a nail in it, any remaining love I had was seeping out. Doris, please review these printouts. Our combined credit card is being charged with them. Our account has been compromised, and I have been informed that it will be terminated. There will be new cards mailed. We must determine which of these are not ours. From now on, use your personal credit card. Will we have to pay for the charges we didn't make? No, that is one benefit of having a credit card. You don't pay if it's not an expense of yours. All the costs were ours, of course, since I'd made up that whole thing about the credit card company phoning. I tore up my joint cards and hers. Doris, I've read on the internet that if someone has your credit card, they may occasionally be able to access your bank account as well. Do you think all but 100 should go into savings? Since both accounts are held by separate banks, they are not connected. If that's what you believe. As you are aware, I don't give our finances much thought. Fulfill your obligations. We don't have an ATM connected to our savings account. I electronically made the adjustments and then bided my time until Doris went to bed. In the following days, I didn't discover anything noteworthy on the recorder. There was another person in the kitchen on Monday night. I listened to the recording after finding the right place to listen. Mindy was with Doris. I'm surprised by this. Was there errand you needed to run on this side of town? A visit to the dentist. I wanted to stop by and try to reason with you one last time. I apologize, sis. I can no longer continue to live this way. Now is the moment to take action. Today, I had lunch with him. You're a complete moron. What happens if Buck learns and gets your divorce? It only happens once. Dancing, dinner, and who knows. Having lunch with him excited me. Sis, don't do it. I was the victim of this garbage. Avoid doing it. I had to leave. Traffic in between towns can be annoying. Tomorrow, I'll give you a call. Okay, drive safely. That, I suppose, concludes it. I confirmed my appointment with the private investigator via email. To amend the petition, I sent my attorney another email. I gave the private investigator instructions to follow Doris all day on Thursday during lunch on Tuesday. Have her served once he was sure she was on her way to her lover's house or a motel room. I took a break after work to check out some long-term housing options. When I got home 2 hours later than expected, Doris got upset. Is your phone no longer functional? Dinner is chilly for you. Put it in the microwave for yourself. She vanished inside the sleeping quarters. The food was still on the stove. Earlier, I had picked up some fast food. I made a list of things to say, people to call, and annoying chores to get done when you split up. Once more, the Tuesday recorder was biased. Hey, dear, what's going on? You have a monotone voice. It only happens once. I informed him as much. Well, maybe you're right and I will like it and change my mind. That's the danger I suppose I'm taking. If he dumps me, who would want him? Good luck to him if he does. He's turned into such a bore. Yes, it makes sense. I guess I'm blind to all those women who are desperate for love. Maybe I am. Talk to you later. I noticed that they were no longer concluding their phone conversations with I love you. Things appear to be becoming quite tense. Without a doubt, my perception of Mindy had evolved. Wednesday night, after having a pleasant dinner with Doris, I packed. Since the revelation last week, there has been no connection, no hugging, and no kissing. I no longer find it shocking that Doris lacks feeling. On Thursday morning, I departed 1 hour ahead of schedule, well before Doris was up. I realized that I might not sleep in the house ever again during my journey to the airport. Doris called as she waited to board and said, "You left before I was up. This time, is the flight earlier?" No, I needed to stop by the workplace. What do you have scheduled for today? After 4 o'clock, I work nothing. I'm sure I'll view a few of the recordings. Do you still plan to return on the red eye? Yes, I am. They're boarding now. I'll see you later. Before I heard her final words, I hit end. I made an enrollment for a new phone earlier this week. The moment the papers are served, I'm going to cancel our present phones. I copied everything from the old phone to the new phone during the time I spent waiting at the airport and in the air. It's so simple these days. Hold them together while selecting what you wish to move by clicking a couple boxes. Things went far more smoothly at headquarters than I had anticipated. I was given a 1-year, unpaid leave of absence. I would keep my seniority and vesting rights if I went back to work. After elucidating the rationale, they promptly implemented it. If my replacement wanted it, I offered to be their mentor. I was waiting impatiently for the investigator's report. I gave Doris a call at 6. Hi Buck, how'd it go today? Excellent. Anything noteworthy happening at home? Not really. Dull day. What time must you arrive at the airport? I'm going to the staff dinner, after which I'm going straight to the airport. Same drill, just in a different month. What are you planning to do this evening? Just having leftovers and watching my soaps. All right, have fun. You are aware of my love for you. We'll talk later. I love you too. As I was not working anymore, I skipped the staff supper. I took a break and had some nutritious fast food. I was enjoying my salad when I received the investigator's first text message. Target is in motion. Oh, how I miss the I love you. Anything spectacular going on this evening? Was the message I left on my home phone. When I tried to reach Doris on her cell, I got the message. Is there anything exciting happening this evening? It's not like I didn't try. I headed to the airport after supper. I was like a terrorist bomber, roaming around the gate area. I could not wait to find out if I had a new life or a wife. My text alert rang nearly simultaneously with a phone call from Doris. I let the call to end in voicemail. Target down in flames was the investigator's text message. When Doris texted me, Buck, please don't do this, I hadn't listened to her voicemail. I haven't yet betrayed you. That is ideal. Still, I'm divorcing you for precisely that reason. I called and canceled our cell phone account after snapping a picture of that text with my new phone. Our cable TV service was likewise canceled by me. That basically takes away our home internet. A video of tonight's fireworks was forwarded to my email account by the private investigator. In the first part of the film, Doris is shown leaving her house in a sleek blue dress and heels. Now it all becomes sense. She started at the pharmacy before going to the motel close to the hospital. A man who seemed at least 10 years her junior greeted her after a brief wait in the foyer. Dinner and drinks are shared while hands and arms are caressed. A few of dances, with permission and permission denied. After gathering their coats, they made their way to the elevators. My buddy lunged, and after they got to their room's door and the male had inserted his key card. Doris Ackerman. Yes, a service has been rendered to you. We will serve you with an alienation of affection lawsuit, Mr. Bennett. I will send copies of my report, the photos, and the video to your wife if you are married. Have a pleasant evening, you too. Doris was tearing the envelope open, and the man's expression was one of bewilderment. Doris fell to the ground when she saw what was inside the letter. I had also attached the full transcripts of the talks that took place in the kitchen. Doris was yelling something that I was unable to make out. The video came to an end. I called my kid on my new phone and gave him my new number. I told him that his mother was getting a divorce from me due to infidelity. I wanted no one else to know my new phone number, so I requested him to keep it to himself. He nodded grudgingly. I had all the time I needed to bring my blood pressure down on my flight home. Your body is seriously harmed by this garbage. I didn't think I would be met at the airport. I heard my name as I walked out of the locked section. Doris rushed over to me. I resisted her attempt to give me a hug. She had taken off the blue clothing. Please, Buck, I cherish you. Avoid doing this. Could we please discuss this? What? I find the blue dress and heels really unappealing. You keep those for your lovers, I suppose. Sorry, Buck, but that's not how it works. I ought not to have altered. I mean, I wasn't supposed to wear it. I'm really perplexed. I apologize, I shouldn't have. Doris, this is not the appropriate moment or location to discuss this. Return home. I will hop in my car and follow suit. Are you returning home immediately, or did you need to pause for some further excitement? Buck, I apologize. I'm heading home right now. I had to resist her attempt to give me a hug and kiss once more. I hadn't lied. I was on my way home. My new extended stay house would be that. I needed another big glass of scotch to knock me off. About 6 in the morning, my son woke me up. Mom is beside herself, dead. Simply give her a call. Remove me from this situation. All right, Jason. I apologize, son, for that. I'll speak with you shortly. I called Doris at the residence using the secret phone number function. Our outdated cell phones had died. Hello, this is Buck, Doris. Hire legal counsel. Make my attorney call them. Fuck you, Buck. I was concerned that you might have been harmed. It's a bit late for you to be concerned about me, Doris. I will no longer put up with being ignored. Hire legal counsel. Please don't do this, Buck. Divorce is not what I desire. Doris, it is terribly unfortunate. A wife who quit on my marriage 5 years ago is not what I desire in a spouse. Get a lawyer, I said, and hung up. Wake up and have no work to go to is a really strange feeling. To get to the cafe, I strolled a few blocks. The weekday special was ideal for me. I gave my new phone number and address to the private investigator and my attorney after breakfast. Shortly after midday, I received a call from my attorney informing me that the brokerage and bank accounts had been blocked. Since there was no evidence of any physical interaction, she suggested that I give up the lawsuit for alienation of affection. The private investigator emailed again later. Despite living with his fiancée, the individual in question was unmarried. I could care less about him right now, but maybe I would exact retribution. They collaborated so that in the event that Doris objected to the divorce, I might cause trouble at the hospital. The lawyers will have to figure out a fair amount and schedule for our living expenses as we will both require cash. I was requesting a cost-sharing arrangement between the house and my present residence. We could sell the house faster and I would cover my rent while Doris would cover hers if she decided to move out. My adultery-based filing was not going to hold up. That was why I had done it, shock value. I spent my first day of freedom checking items off my to-do list. Friends were surprised but offered encouragement. The eternal optimist that she was, my mother, supported making amends. I informed her that I would do so as soon as her wings appeared. Things were going to get very difficult for Doris since she had a low-paying job, no easy cash, and a low-limit credit card. When I called, I thought it would be Jason, but Kelly picked up. How's my favorite daughter-in-law? Adorable, truly adorable. And the person you despise the most in addition to being your favorite. How many times has Doris phoned, do you know? She is yelling and crying, sometimes without any sense at all. You've become my all-time favorite. I'm relieved she's in pain. That's not even close to what she's caused me to endure. I'm not an idiot, but I don't think I really want to know. Is she involved in an affair? You're not just gorgeous, but intelligent as well. Last night, my investigator caught them off guard. I'm a little concerned about letting her babysit Jared. I am unable to decide for you. I would adore to have dinner with you all. My schedule is really flexible, but it doesn't have to be tonight. Jason and I will speak. Would this be an appropriate number to give you a call back? Yes, it is. Don't share it with anyone else, please. We should speak shortly. Love to all of you. I also love you, Dad. Farewell. It was an emotionally taxing Friday night. The weight of all that had happened struck home. I tried using a lot of painkillers and a little alcohol to help me solve my difficulties. When I did fall asleep, it was much past midnight. It was a nice set of morning breakfast with Jason, Kelly, and Jared. Some of Doris's calls are now being routed to messages. I stopped by my former residence after breakfast. I parked up the street and looked in through the side window of the garage since I couldn't determine if Doris's car was inside. I decided to try again later since she was home. If I can't get in soon, I might have to go get a clean shirt. Hey Jason, it's been a while, huh? Can you meet your mother somewhere or invite her over? I must enter and remove many armfuls of clothing. That's right, Dad. I'll give you a call back and inform you. After 10 or so minutes, she's meeting us for lunch at noon. Was said. I went inside and began my thorough investigation after seeing Doris leave. I dropped by to chat and left a note. You must be out having more excitement, I suppose. I relocated my motorcycle a few blocks away to my friend's home. My car was packed when I left the home, so I walked back and loaded it up. I went to the cheap supermarket and bought a lot of goodies. I grabbed a thank you card and wrote Mindy a note inside, along with copies of the transcripts from the recordings in the kitchen. Mindy, I appreciate your effort. Buck, I stayed at the off-track parlor to watch the horse races on Saturday afternoon and much of Sunday. This retirement stuff is just too boring for me, and this is only my first weekend. I need a hobby. I studied the Sunday paper, which I had purchased, to find volunteer possibilities. I was seated next to Martin, a retired insurance agent and avid horseback rider, on Sunday at the off-track. He made me want to study up on betting. He declared his selections with pride and had a very successful day of betting. I took up some of his wagers, making some wins, some losses, and at the end of the afternoon, approximately 20. Quite affordable entertainment these days. I completed the application on Monday morning in order to volunteer at the animal shelter. I received a call from my attorney informing me that Doris and her lawyer needed to meet. At 4 p.m. on Thursday was selected. Martin and I talked for around 5 hours. Despite losing a couple large wagers, he managed to rally and finish down just a little. I dropped approximately 10. Still a relatively affordable kind of amusement. On Wednesday, I began working at the animal shelter. My shift lasted 4 hours. The timing of that small animal's love for me couldn't have been more perfect. On Thursday, after work, I made myself at home in the conference room. Doris had made a great effort to seem put together. My lawyer and hers both bestowed upon us their furrowed brows. The joust started. I sat silently with Doris as the lawyers argued. To avoid staring at each other, I purposefully sat on the same side of the table as Doris. We will not accept the filing on the grounds of adultery. Mrs. Ackerman, what did you purchase at the drugstore on the night you were served? Avoid responding to that. It must be modified to reflect irreconcilable differences. That will be taken into account. Is there anything more? You failed to include maintenance. Well said. I propose that Mr. Ackerman get 25% of Mrs. Ackerman's net payroll check as she is the only person working. Doris went crazy. Not at all. His job pays exceptionally well. A couple weeks off doesn't make a difference in that. Mr. Ackerman was paid well at his job. He was unemployed before Mrs. Ackerman was served, and he is still unemployed now. If this agreement is filed with prejudice, what we will offer is to delete any mention of adultery and to stipulate that neither party will pay support. Can I have a few minutes with Mrs. Ackerman? We walked out of the meeting space. I observed Doris swaying back and forth in her seat. Before we were waved back inside, she need multiple Kleenex. There are a few requirements. First, the maintenance issue will be reopened in the event that Mr. Ackerman secures paid employment within the next year. The request to divide Mr. Ackerman's housing costs should be withdrawn. In his home, he is more than welcome. The house will go up for sale right away, and Mrs. Ackerman will receive 60-40 of the revenues when the house is sold. We ask that the savings account be divided equally and paid out right away. Can I have a few minutes with Mr. Ackerman? They walked out of the meeting space. Quick math was done on the house by me. Our equity amounted to almost $300,000. If I said yes, it would be $30,000 lost. We chose to accept on the condition that, with one exception, we will take these. Mrs. Ackerman bears full responsibility for all expenses related to the residence until it is sold. The house will go up for auction if it doesn't sell within 6 months. A few hushed remarks were followed by accepted. Doris asked, Buck, can you stick around and talk with me? As I was about to go. Doris, once the paperwork is signed and submitted, I will meet with you. It should make me feel fantastic that it went so well, but instead I was sitting in my dark, alone room drinking scotch. If people knew how painful it is for a marriage to end in divorce, I wonder how many would decide against getting married. The pets erased everything from my memory the next morning. I was having a great time betting on the ponies in the afternoons. Martin cherished imparting his handicapping methodology. I scored a little under 200 on a trifecta. What a rush. After supper till bedtime was the most lonely period. I read books and performed music. I used to occasionally play the horses online. Given that they provide racing all over the world, you may easily become addicted to such thing. I tried a few of the pubs, but I felt so uncomfortable that I left and went home. I stopped by on Monday after working at the shelter to sign the amended dissolution petition. I texted Doris, saying, "What's for dinner at our fave pizza joint? What time is most effective?" It was almost instantly 6 p.m. I had a mediocre day of betting at the off-track. Martin scored 3,200 on a pick six. The ticket cost him $240. To make money, you must first spend money. My biggest single wager to date is 24. I was feeling really uneasy when I sat down across from Doris. Makeup was unable to conceal her worn appearance. "Buck, please allow me to speak freely. I apologize. I am, truly. I'm only stating it because I was discovered. I've had time to think about it and see how much of a woman I've grown into. I've looked everywhere for an explanation. I plan to seek counseling after I receive money from the house. I didn't aim to cause you harm. The printouts plainly demonstrate my increased callousness. You're free to hold me accountable. My heart is shattered. Many evenings I weep myself to sleep. Please make an effort to arrange for us to reunite. I cherish you even more now. Doris, tell me about the blue dress and heels." Gazing in shock the dress. "That night, I purchased it. Why is that significant?" I sat there quietly, without looking at anyone. I showed her the picture of the first text message from Doris that I had pulled up. "Doris, what does this say? Please don't do this, Buck. I haven't betrayed you as of yet." It couldn't have been said any more precisely. Arranging a date with the intention of enjoying yourself doesn't seem like cheating to you. In what way did you phrase it? You have your viewpoint, mine appears to be different. Even if we end up getting back together, that still implies that you will cheat when, not if. Your soul spoke from the inside out. I'm not going to wait around for you to realize that I'm just as dull as always and that you should cheat. My current self, my past self, and my future self are incompatible with your current self, your past self, and your future self. You mentioned that I no longer excited you, and I think you were telling the truth. That's what we've been doing. Years ago, you fell out of love. Your behavior and words unmistakably depict someone who is self-centered. You were worried about yourself and not about us anymore. My current heartbreak doesn't make me any more exciting. I threw the divorce decree in front of Doris, dating back 2 years. A few years ago, I considered requesting for a divorce from you, but I changed my mind because I didn't want to hurt you. Isn't that absurd? You've, however, overcome that challenge. You've given me the motivation I needed to follow my own path. I should have cried when you rejected my request for assistance. I hope you're able to locate what you're seeking. Just one more thing. I allowed you to interact with me in an open and sincere manner. Around a week before you were served, I discovered the outfit and shoes. The footwear was already used. Angie's informed me that they do not sell worn shoes when I checked with them. I'm assuming the outfit was also worn. I'll just say so long because goodbye is too good of a word. Our money was squandered on that pizza. With her head buried in her arms, Doris was weeping. I departed after paying the bill. I went and got a couple more bottles of scotch and got myself back under the influence. I visited a few dance clubs and pool halls, but I never remained long because I knew I wasn't ready to act impulsively. I've stayed in contact with my former coworkers. A handful of the couples that Doris and I used to hang out with have also treated me to dinner. When I parted ways with Doris, I didn't understand that I had also lost my best friend. We did so much together that practically everything reminded me of her. I was grieved, but not so much that I decided to abandon my plans to escape. The first communication came in a few days after the court paperwork was submitted. Someone who goes by the email address waiting for him, alright. Hello, Buck. I had hoped that we could meet. Might we first exchange emails? It definitely caught my interest. At first, I thought Doris was playing a practical joke on me. That could be something I like. Tell me more about you, please. Buck. It moved slowly in this instance. I kept checking throughout the day, but the answer didn't show up until the next morning. Fantastic. I'm a woman in your age range, and I'm free. Talk enough about me. You're reportedly going through a divorce. I was not yet persuaded that this was not Doris. I chose to think things over before answering. After my shift at the shelter, I made my way to the off-track. I'm getting dependent on betting on the ponies. My first winning ticket was worth more than $500. I gave the animal shelter a donation. Yes, I am waiting on the court's blessing. My soon-to-be ex said that I was too uninteresting. Do you have a spouse, Buck? She stated that she was available, but all I wanted was a single woman. I got the message I'm divorced and have been for several years the next day. I find that boring works. Not my style in a cramped bedroom. How does a lady meet your needs? This was becoming like a game of poker. Nobody on either side revealed too much. I was still not sure that this was true. A woman who desired me as much as I desired her was all I ever wanted. Why me? Why this time? Buck. Kelly went errands, so I spent the day at Jason's watching Jared. Kelly updated me on Doris's situation. While Doris regrets it now, it was only the catalyst for a bigger issue. There's just no one thing you can point the finger at when someone breaks their heart. Buck, you're getting divorced, and I think you're the one for me. If that was Doris, I was having trouble thinking of a method to expose her. I chose to be direct. How can I be certain you're not my soon-to-be ex? This dancing in slow motion was kind of healing. Every day I looked forward to the following email with apprehension. We didn't communicate by email more than once a day. I'm not Doris, Buck. I wish I had the ability to persuade you. I imagine that every scenario I imagine could be a con artist trying to con you. Now let's return to my schedule. I want your desire for me. She must have known more about me than she was ready to acknowledge because I had never mentioned Doris's name. Let's meet up shortly. This coming weekend, how about it? Buck, I'm sorry, Buck, but not until after your divorce. I would hate for you to return to your wife after raising my expectations. I recognize, perhaps for the best, as I'm still a very confused man. 25 years have passed, and nothing has changed. Buck, you may be proud of your son and now your grandson. You do have a tangible result to show for it. I'll never understand the sensation of that. All right, so she is aware of Jason and Jared. Definitely not the appearance of a casual acquaintance. Sorry, sometimes I just can't control my feelings. I guess I should have inquired about your child rearing. Buck, no kids, Buck. My union ended before we reached that point, as well as how it transpired. How does retirement feel? Who declared me retired? This implies she has most likely spoken with Doris. If it was Mindy, I pondered. We've disagreed for so long that I threw that idea out of my head. Perhaps a neighbor. There were some single people about. It's feasible, I suppose, that one or more of them had a divorce. Dull. I miss my job terribly. It's hard to let the past go when I have so much time on my hands. For what duration did you take? Buck, how long? Buck, I promise to notify you as soon as Mr. Wright is located. Every day, we would send each other a brief email. Neither she nor I would reveal much personal information about ourselves. The game had been enjoyable for the past 2 months. We talked about how lonely the evenings and nights were for several days. She refused to say how she found out about me. We had already met, at least she acknowledged it. Doris had made multiple attempts to persuade me to end the divorce. Despite my refusal to meet with her, I had multiple conversations with her. Boring is, I suppose, preferable to lonely. I could tell she was sorry about the choices she had made. My heart felt icy. The subsequent email made me consider whether or not to check the direction this was going. I chose to intensify our brief email exchange. Buck, if you're an eligible bachelor, when we meet, what should I wear that looks good on my bedroom floor? Buck, the email that arrived the next day consisted of a string of smileys, winks, and blushes, followed by the words, I can do that. How much longer must we bide our time? The tentative hearing date is Wednesday of next week. I am excited to find out who you are. Buck, the divorce process took slightly less than 90 days to complete in court. I took a sleeping pill the night it was accepted. It's difficult to express the pain. Even though I was relieved that it was ended, I could not shake the sensation that I had paid a hefty price for it. Buck, welcome to the middle-aged bachelor community. When is a good time for us to meet? You are aware of my schedule. Plus, I have Friday night babysitting. Buck, the following morning, Buck, I considered going off course, but I gave up. On Saturday, I'll try again. I appreciate you letting me know. I have time to tidy up because I haven't had a shower or shaven in months. Buck, on the morning of Saturday, Buck, if you're not interested in me, please be kind. I was not going to be kind at all if this was Doris. When someone knocked on my door, I hadn't drafted my response yet. I was quite aback to see Mindy. She had on black sweatpants, a gray hoodie, and flip-flops. This is surprising, mind you. Enter now. You really have shed a few pounds. You look fantastic. Those highlights look great on your hair. Would you like a cup of my freshly brewed coffee? I am grateful, sir. Coffee seems delicious. I've heard you're back on your own. It appears that I am. What makes you come around on a weekend so early? Reaching for the coffee kettle, I filled a cup. When I turned back, Mindy was encircling my neck with her arms. Do you want to be my Mr. Right, too? I used to wonder if you were my email flirt, but you know, we were always at odds. What is in store for Mr. Right? You have my undying love. I informed Doris that she would be sorry if you got a divorce. I am here to express my desire for a man who is uninteresting yet kind in my life. Following a few coffee drinks, don't you think my garments look fine on your floor? Is there a bedroom here? I was slow with Mindy. She didn't taste like Doris, which surprised me. Once more, I was quite tough. Mindy, I don't have any protection. No issue, have a peek at my sweatpants. I had some with me. I hurriedly left the bedroom and came back wearing one. For the first time in more than 25 years, I was burying myself into a woman other than Doris while Mindy was holding her knees apart. Without a doubt, I need to improve my endurance. At supper time, we placed our pizza order. Mindy stayed up late. I nibbled at her earlobes slowly. That night, I believe I had more fun than I did as a newlywed. We used to talk how is it that you and I never got along. In between sessions, it was a hate-love situation. The man I married was nothing like the kind person you were. I used to be so envious of Doris. You just wanted her to be happy because all married men were meant to be jerks, like the one I married. She is a moron. I hope we can go beyond just being buddies. One Sunday evening, we went out to dinner. Mindy was not the Mindy I had come to detest. We discussed our lives, hers and mine. Though, to be fair, we had been flirting for more than 2 months, so everything seemed very natural. Back at my apartment, we cuddled up to watch a movie. I have to work tomorrow, she said with a sparkle in her eye. Could I give you anything to consider for a moment? Sure. I was shoved onto my back by Mindy. In my home, loneliness keeps me company. While they're getting to know one another, I was thinking you could bring your loneliness over and we could go into my bedroom. As long as you like, you are welcome to stay. We've been dating ever since I said yes to her request. Together, we went to have our STDs tested. As soon as we were both clean, we went to bed together, rekindling the excitement of bonding with a partner who genuinely wants to please you and appreciates being satisfied. One of the best choices we've ever made was advised by Mindy. Buck, I would like for us to get counseling before this becomes too bad. I'm determined to see this through. I'm interested in learning about and comprehending your situation. I also want you to be aware of and cognizant of my experiences. I'll go to any lengths to claim you as my own. I cherish you. I think that's a really good idea, Mindy. I also adore you. It made Mindy's divorce and sour attitude easier to comprehend. It made sense to Mindy what I was going through. Beyond that, it assisted us in identifying the cues that indicated when one of us had become agitated. I need to keep in mind that Mindy is not Doris, and Mindy needs to keep in mind that comeback stories can get bumpy if the recently hurt person isn't given enough time to recover. I never felt like the shrink was giving us the creeps, and it resulted in the best camaraderie I'd ever experienced following one specific session. Buck, time to you to tell us what you've learned about Mindy. I've learned that behind that facade of bitterness is one of the most loving and caring women a man could ever want. The following day, Mindy phoned in ill and exhausted me. Regarding her family, things became clear one evening when Mindy's mother called. She appeared to maintain her composure till the end of the talk with Mindy. Allow me to simplify it for you. Never give me a calla. Got it? Before hanging up. What was that all about? Mom is unsure about her ability to go past this. She declared that Doris would never speak to me once more. If I never hear from them again, it doesn't matter at all. Allow them to struggle with sadness and loneliness for years. They can burn in hell. They've got what I desire. The way her mother was acting confused me. She has 2 daughters, one married to an uninteresting man and the other, a lonely divorcee. It's not as though the dull man has changed. It appears that not much has changed. I called Mindy's mother with my cell phone. Hello, Buck. What details about Doris's lovers do you know? The ones I learned about before to divorcing her, you know. She couldn't express herself. Speak up, I can't hear you. I didn't know about that. Well then take your righteous attitude and shove it up behind. I ended the call. Mindy was cuddling and grinning. I kissed her with all the passion I could muster. We held on to one another for an extended period of time. That evening's connection was amazing. Conclusion. I eloped to Las Vegas with Mindy. Aunt Mindy is now my wife, as agreed to by Jason and Kelly. They provide us with updates on the rest of the family. It seems that Doris has become addicted to alcohol. Kelly is somewhat concerned since she finds it difficult to operate with an inebriated babysitter. I have plenty of money now that the house has been sold, so I volunteered to assist pay for some legitimate daycare. My 12-month goal of not doing any maintenance was not met. I took the store manager role when they opened a new location. For the next 18 months, Doris received some money. Mindy helped me make a decision. I have been contributing to the animal shelter on a monthly basis. Mindy and I have started going there on weekends to volunteer. Though nowadays I play the ponies from the comfort of Mindy's living room. It's far more difficult than Martin depicted. Mindy's mother is making a lot of effort to reintegrate Mindy into the family. Mindy claims it's too soon, but perhaps things will change for her in a year. I have received letters from Mindy and Doris. Mindy's was longer than mine, at 8 pages. When Mindy started crying, she took hers into the bedroom. Reading what Doris had to say didn't really pique my interest at this point. Buck, would you mind if I started talking with Doris again? You understand that I could and would never obstruct your path, Mindy. Did she not manage to reach you? Not by a little amount. She assured me that she would never forgive me if I ever broke your heart. Have you read the letter she sent you? Not at all. Who is to blame if I pick at my scab and it begins to bleed again? Start mending fences, give her a call. I'm going to take a block walk. They now communicate on a regular basis, but I avoid Doris since I don't want anything to get in the way of my relationship with Mindy. I barely get to spend time apart from Mindy, who has become my new best friend. It appears she enjoys going on motorcycle trips. Loneliness seems to have vanished and doesn't like that I'm staying with Mindy. It might have sought lodging at Doris's flat, according to rumors. My comment: the lack of love and caring by a lot of wives, after a few years, seems to be very common these days, as they decide they want more excitement in their life but with someone new as dear old hubby don't excite them anymore. That they have helped to create that problem with their ever-diminishing lack of interest doesn't seem to come into their thoughts until it is too late.